All right, I never knew this before. So you know how sometimes we read a book and then afterwards we don't really go into detail, like finding out what the meaning of a word is or seeing if it's said somewhere else. So I'm reading John 8. It's about a woman caught in adultery. I mean, everybody kind of knows that story already, where the person goes ahead and throws a woman into the middle of the crowd, and then Jesus is there to witness this, and the people throw the woman in the center, trying to get Jesus to be like, oh, hey, this is she's wrong. Like, it even says it in the book of Moses. So I'm going to read you the small passage right there, but please, please, please keep watching real quick, because there's one verse that everybody reads it, but then doesn't go into detail about it, okay? So here it is. So just listen. Jesus returned to Mount Olives, but really the next morning he was back at the temple. A crowd soon gathered and sat down and taught them. As he was speaking, the teacher of religious law and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in the act of adultery. They put her in front of the crowd. Teacher, they said to Jesus, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. The law of Moses says to stone her. What do you say? So they were trying to trap her into saying something they could use against him, but Jesus stooped down and wrote in the dust with his fingers. They kept demanding an answer, so he stood up again and said, all right, but let the one who have never sinned throw the first stone. All right, so the verse that I'm talking about, that people kind of read it and then afterwards don't even go in more depth. Now here it says, the law of Moses says to stone her. What else does the law of Moses says? So then I looked at the commentary, and the commentary says that it's supposed to be the woman and the lover, the person that she did adultery with, because she was engaged. So then we have to go into the Old Testament to find that out, because it says in Leviticus 20, the man who commits adultery with another man's wife, he who commits adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. Then you have to go to the other one. So if you're like, oh, okay, it says in one place, but does it say anywhere else? Yeah. So in Deuteronomy 22 says, suppose a man meets a young woman, a virgin who's engaged to be married. He has sexual intercourse with her. If this happens within a town, you must take both of them to the gates of the town and stone them to death. So both, okay? But here it's like just the woman. Just the woman is the one that has been thrown in the middle of the crowd, and they want justice, and they want Jesus to go ahead and go against. They want to see if Jesus is going to follow the law of Moses, because that's what it says, right? But of course, Jesus does what he wants because he knows the truth and he knows the way. Then he goes ahead and stands up and says, all right, you can stone her, but if you didn't sin. So if you never sinned before, go for it. So anyway, isn't that awesome? So that's why I told you, if you've been checking out my stories on Facebook and on Instagram, I basically say that you have to not just hear the pastor and read the one or two verses that the pastor has mentioned in the sermon, but you have to read the Bible too, because you have to read the before and the after, and you have to actually look in other parts of the Bible too to make sure that it matches. A lot of people say, well, so many people wrote the Bible. How do you know what is true and what is wrong, right? In the end of the day, when you read this, you understand that there's a lot of metaphors. You understand that Jesus uses a lot of stories, parables, and you understand that Jesus and God is the one that gave these people to write these things. I mean, when you read it and you're like, no, that's not right. God would never do that to someone, or he would never kill someone, or never let something happen, or whatever, right? I mean, God is love, God is wrath, God is everything. He can't just be loving the whole entire time. He can't save everyone when some people don't even care to go to him. So, again, in conclusion, is that when you're reading or you're hearing a sermon, dig into scripture. That's the only way, even when people say, I don't want to because I don't believe it's true. And that's it. I'm going to continue reading because I have to finish chapter 8. Bye. Love y'all. Message me if y'all have any questions or you want to have Bible study or anything. Or prayers. Okay? Because I really know that God can answer prayers. And even when he doesn't answer, like, it's for a reason that he hasn't answered.